Real conversation. Oh, we're live.
We're like, oh no.
No. Gross Domestic Podcast is live.
Hello.
We have Shannon Fields here. I'm
me.
Pat George. I'm your host. I am here. We were just talking about what's the fourth? What's the one that my favorite?
Goblet of Fire.
The Goblet of Fire. I saw the Goblet of Fire in person. Maybe not the real one.
I was gonna say, like, you were live on set. Like, no. That's
Well,
not what
okay. So this is my beef. I love museums.
Okay, yeah.
Museums, I call them. Love them. I go to all the Washington ones, the fancy ones.
Oh, the Smithsonian's?
Yeah, the ones
yeah,
that they're like,
I love me a good Smithsonian.
There's like these are these artifacts. Here's this thing that happened like 1,000,000 years ago. Here's what it looked like back then and all that stuff. All the fun stuff, right? You're all right. You can set it. Actually, hold on.
I didn't know what I wanted to do.
You know what I should do, actually? Bad host.
Should there be a coaster or
what? Bad host. Here we go. Bad host on multiple ends. It doesn't sweat, so it's really just the sound technician in me. But here, that'll deaden it.
I was gonna. Well, that was the thing. I was like, oh god,
Perfect.
If I'm gonna be picking this up and putting it down, I don't want it to make a lot of noise.
You go to these museums.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you see a painting, or you see a sculpture, or you see an artifact, and 9 times out of 10, I think there's no research done here. I think I heard somebody say this, and it really made me sad. That most of those are just replicas. They're not the real thing.
Right. Isn't that wild?
What?
Yeah.
The fuck am I visiting then?
Right.
I could just Google it.
Well, that was how I felt.
I just want to go see what the size is.
Yeah, right. No, but you brought up a really good point, because I thought that I knew what museums were like, and then I went to England and France, and then I went to like the fancy museums.
There.
Yeah.
Live.
And yeah, in person. And so like I saw the Mona Lisa.
The one that had shit thrown at it?
Yeah, well, not when it was getting shit thrown at it.
Was it the real one?
Well, it is the real one. But the thing is, I saw it from like the other end of the room. They had this line where you could go stand right in front of the Mona Lisa, and I was like, well, I'm in the same room as the Mona Lisa, and I know what it looks like. So
right. I know the size.
Right. I'm like, well, and I was looking at it and I was like, oh, it's just about what I expected, because a lot of people say, oh, the Mona Lisa is smaller than I think. But I'm like, no, that sounds about right to me. Like, I was looking at it from a distance. I was like, that looks accurate.
Yeah. Why would anybody, like, Serial, I think, is the only thing that actually has to show you legally actual real size. I think that's the only thing that actually there's any kind of real legitimate, like somebody holding them to a standard. Everything else can be, because that's another thing is, once you see a bunch of people standing around, like most of Jackson Pollock's stuff is too big.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because every time you see that and you go to see it, like, I'm as jarred. I don't know why everybody gets so jarred when they're like, oh, it's a lot smaller than I thought, when you go to see it and it's horrendously big.
Right.
It's like obnoxiously big.
There's another painting that's...
But do you think you could do a Mona Lisa? Sorry, Mona Lisa. A Mona Lisa? Could you do a Mona Lisa that size? I don't think you could. I'm a cultured guy, and I don't think you could do a Mona Lisa that size. No, sir. Nope.
There was one painting that stuck out to me, and it's a painting from like the Les Mis French Revolution, not like the first one, but the one where they did the barricade and all that.
The one about the movie?
Right. Yeah.
Did they make the movie about the painting?
Well, they didn't make... Hold on a minute. You're confusing me. But
I'm really dumb, Shannon. You're going to find that out on the show.
But it's that painting where there's a woman with her tits like basically out.
Yeah.
And she's carrying the French flag and like...
Oh, yeah,
you know
what
I'm talking about? That painting in person is absurdly large. It did not need to be that big.
Because of the tits, you think? Because
of
like French people are pervs?
Well, clearly. But it was just wild, because it was bigger than me, and I was like, but that's not a very good judgment of size. But
no, but like, that's like, as far as a painting, yeah, like,
but it was like 3 or 4 me's, like,
yeah, that's
tall.
Pretty big.
No, not 3.
Well, so like, okay, so then
at least 2 me's tall.
Like, is that also? Why do you? Is that how you everything? That's about half of me. That car, yeah, it's about. Is that like? Oh, it's like 1,200 me horsepower or me power.
That's, you know what, that I think about that a lot when I see like those giant American flags outside of the car dealerships.
Yeah,
it's like, how many me's big is that?
How many me's long is that?
Yeah.
Like, or squared.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So you're okay.
That's my benchmark for size.
We're gonna backtrack a little bit. You've been to Europe.
Yeah.
You've seen cultured things in person. You like reading.
I do love to read. Yeah,
Are you smart or something?
it might be. I've been.
What was
well,
your GPA?
Well, I want to say like at the end it was like 3.31 or
Ugh,
something.
wow.
But also keep in mind, I say that like it wasn't a good GPA, but
3.3. What's the highest you can go?
like a 4.0.
That's pretty high, Shannon.
It wasn't high enough to get to law school, apparently.
Really?
No, well, so the thing about law school was that I took the LSAT and I would have been able to go to a law school. That law school might have been taught in a back alley, but it would have been a law school.
Like you would have been able to, like the
Like-
what's the Better Call Saul's like law school, whatever.
I guess I've never seen Better Call Saul actually. I've never
Really?
actually or Breaking Bad. Weirdly
Damn.
enough, I only know enough to
Wow.
know that those two are related.
So you have seen both versions and love both versions of Dune.
Yeah.
And read the book.
Yes. Sorry, I'm gonna.
It's okay. It's all right.
My bad.
It's no big deal.
I'm really bad at
Remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be like walking around at work and it'll go off.
I'm the opposite. I'm where I always have mine on silent and I miss calls all the time.
But that's what freaks me out is because like I'm the person, I don't know why, but I'm the person that people call in the dead of night when they're like suicidal. And so
Oh.
that's when I like
Yeah. I just had a conversation with Tyler, not to bring the show back to suicide. I just had a whole conversation with Tyler about that yesterday. And I found out that I might be an unsafe person to call in those situations. So
no,
I'm going to
absolutely.
keep my phone on silent, Shannon.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that because
My phone number is no. I'm just
Yep.
kidding.
No, share it. Yeah. It's actually 988 now for the suicide hotline. So it's a lot easier to share, even to say like,
yeah, because it's not like a whole thing anymore. Now that whole Logic song is basically like obsolete at this point.
yeah. Just
So
like Logic.
Dune, you were asking me about Dune.
No, but just in general, like you like all of like, you like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
You like that stuff, but are you adverse to more popular, like, because I'm just going to take a swing in the dark.
Okay.
You're a fan of Doctor Who?
Yes, but I'm not caught up.
Why does it seem like that's always seems to be like a lane? Do you also hate sports?
No, I don't hate
Okay,
sports. I don't follow it religiously.
Yeah.
And I don't like I'm not a fan of any particular sports, but I'm not like, oh, look at the sports ball. My dad is that kind of way. He's
Yeah.
just like sports
Like
ball,
a bitter
blah, blah, blah,
like
blah.
kind of thing. I used to be that way, but like in the like it's not a cooler version, but like in a punk way.
Yeah.
To be like fucking, oh yeah, you're gonna play football, touch each other's butts and shit
the
like
whole
that.
thing- I was in marching band. And so like to be
Yeah.
able to be in marching band in high school, like you have to have some sort of like you have to come to terms with sports
This-
like,
yeah,
to
that-
be able
yeah.
to do that.
You have to get some kind of pep, some kind of spirit.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just like, all right, when's halftime? But
Right.
like, when you were in high school, you can kind of be like, yeah, those are people I know, and that's my team. Like,
Yeah.
I have math class with that guy or some shit.
Was it often like, what did you play in marching band?
Trumpet.
Trumpet.
Yeah. I told somebody that recently.
That's a hard instrument, right?
Well, I think they're all hard. I don't know if I'd be able to figure out the saxophone, but
I played saxophone.
I've been
actually.
told the
It's pretty funny you said
saxophone.
that.
Weirdly enough, I've been told the saxophone is the easiest instrument to learn.
It really is. Like,
And
you have
I'm like,
so many
how
options.
so? Because it has too many buttons. I get 3 buttons. I get 3
Yeah.
little buttons.
But you have to do a lot more with those 3 buttons because you have to do a lot of weird like finger twitchy things and like a lot of.
Yeah, you have to. So
For
you have
people
to
that
be
are
able-
listening, I'm doing a perfect Louis Armstrong impression without the any kind of face paint. No face paint.
Yeah, no, we're not being
Nope, we're
fraudulent
not that
here.
show, bud.
But like, well, you have to go like. So actually, that's the incorrect way to do it.
Oh.
Louis Armstrong could, and I don't know if there's any documentation of this, but he really could have done some real damage to his face doing that.
Damn. Well,
Yeah.
I think he did. I think that's
Yeah.
why he had to do it after that.
Yeah, well, I mean, and when you tense up the muscles in your face so much, eventually it's like elastic. You pull it too much and it just breaks. And so,
Mhm.
you know,
That's why I take collagen, guys.
exactly.
Yep, I
This
take it all the time.
We're sponsored by collagen.
Collagen. I take a lot of collagen, a lot of fish oil. You know what I mean? Take a lot of turmeric. I'll get into it later.
Yeah.
But so you were playing trumpet.
Yeah.
Did you pick trumpet or did somebody go like,
I picked
trumpet?
Trumpet actually ended up being kind of like the instrument for me in a weird way. And I think a lot of it, my uncle played the trumpet. And so I don't know. I thought, so hear me out.
Okay.
I thought the trumpet players would be like the cool kids of the band. So like I thought, okay, if I
Interesting logic. Please explain.
so well, I'm like, okay, well the trumpet players are obviously the jocks of the marching band.
Obviously.
Obviously. So
Yep.
I was just like, well, if I play the trumpet, then everybody will think I'm like super badass and cool because trumpets are like, they're loud and they're bold and
They're
people
gonna be
are
like,
like,
look out, Shane is
yeah,
coming.
yeah. It didn't work. But
Did you learn a lot of cool like songs, like as far as that, like you could, like, did you have aspirations of being in a trumpet player beyond
um,
marching band, or was it always like sheet music? That was another thing too
yeah.
with saxophone was in music class. I think that's when I discovered, I don't know if this is dyslexia or what, but like I wasn't able to like read sheet music. I could like I knew what that was. I know that's a B, but like I
Mhm.
have to write B under it. Like I
Right.
can't in real time
I
process
had
it.
the hardest time. I didn't have a problem with the actual notes, them being what they were,
Hmm.
but I had a problem with like how it was supposed to sound. Like I couldn't look at sheet music and
And
say
know
like,
like how you were supposed to hit the note.
right, right, like the timing of the notes and stuff. I knew jack shit about 16th and eighth notes and all that shit.
Right.
So I would have to listen to it first, and then once I listened to it, I'm like, oh, that's how the notes work, and then I'd be able to play it.
Yeah. I think a lot of times I would have like I wouldn't necessarily have like too much trouble with like the holding of the notes or
Mhm.
anything like that. I would always cheat. I would make sure that I would like I guess it wasn't necessarily the timing, because that I think what it is I would remember like sections. It actually helped me, I think, in when I went into writing music, but not, I never played saxophone in like the bands I was in after that.
Mhm.
But I never did marching band. It was just regular sit on your ass band.
Yeah.
Actually we never even performed either. Like I don't know what necessarily how much I got out of actual band, except for the fact that my band teacher told me that I didn't look like a bass player, which is like, come on, I look
like
like every bass
like
player.
an electric bass player.
Yeah,
Oh, weird.
like playing like bass guitar, because I told him that's what I wanted to play in like a real band. I think that maybe I insulted him when I said real band,
Yeah,
maybe.
maybe he was just like, well, you.
Yeah, well, you don't look like a bass player, loser.
Yeah.
I'm gonna crush this child's dreams. But he, like, it was just we just kind of learned songs, like practiced them in class. I don't think we ever put on a concert. We never marched. We never did anything. But I learned basically how to learn by hearing, the like learn by play by ear,
Yeah.
essentially. That I can do a lot easier than reading sheet music. If it's like
I
a matter of that, like here's a sheet,
mm,
like you hand me a book of music, I would have to go through and translate all of it, play it a little bit. And if it's like a popular song or something like that, I'll be like, oh, I know this song. I know this, you know what I mean? Like after a while. And then it's not like I understand it, but if you play the song, it can go, oh yeah, I know that, and just kind of mimic it. You know what I
that
mean?
makes sense. Yeah. Well, the thing about, you were asking me like if I learned how to play something cool, and of course we did all of the standbys that like middle schools and high schools always do, like the Indiana Jones theme and like popular things like that.
Yeah.
But I have this distinct memory. I don't know if it's really distinct, but I'll move on. Anyway, I don't know. So in my senior year of high school, we got to go to Disney World, which I had never been to
Oh,
Disney World
nice.
before. I was a poor child. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I went for the first time, and I'm like
Disney
17.
World in Florida,
Yeah,
right?
in
Okay,
Florida.
nice.
And so we go down for our band trip. That
Mhm.
was the band trip that year. And of course, we're going down there in our Pennsylvania polyester uniforms, which first of all was the sexiest thing I'd ever worn to that point.
Nice.
Um
Was it the
and
one with the big long hat on top and shit like
yeah,
that, and
yeah,
the
like in a
feather and
feather
shit?
and stuff. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
I basically wore like nothing underneath that uniform because it was 100 fucking degrees in
Ugh,
Florida,
yikes.
and we had to march down like the main street of Disney World. But they would not let any of the high schools or any of those bands play Disney copyrighted music because it's
You're on their turf,
yeah, you're on
essentially.
their turf, and like what if you play it wrong, and it's like you ruin the Disney experience for some child.
That makes sense.
So that
It
makes
really
sense.
it does. Like they're
Yeah.
really brand loyal in fucking Disney.
Yeah.
Turns out, apparently, they really like money there.
Yeah, it's wild.
They love it.
It's crazy.
Those people, boy.
And so we ended up doing Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusters theme.
Ooh.
And so, and also in Disney, when you're a high school marching band and you're marching through the streets, you cannot be not playing for more than, I think it's 10 seconds.
Really?
So over and over and over again, we're just playing the Ghostbusters theme with about 10 seconds of rest in between. And I was a first trumpet at this point, not the first chair because I wasn't that talented, but like I had to play this like really high note at the end of the song. And I was like, by the end of the parade, I was like, absolutely fucking not. Let's not do that anymore.
Yeah.
So
that is kind of a weird. That is like a nightmarish song to play over and over and over. How long after that could you until you could actually listen to it again?
I've never had that problem. Like I've never heard a song
a
too many times where I couldn't hear it before. Now I do have like some trauma associated with some songs where I like can't listen to them anymore.
Let's get into it. Love
for
trauma
the longest time, I couldn't listen to "We Didn't Start the Fire," and I loved that song.
Just because is that Bruce Springsteen? Billy Joel.
Billy Joel.
Damn it!
Someone's gonna really rip you apart for that one.
I don't care. Who? Anyway. Billy Joel?
Yeah, I guess.
What's he gonna do? Hit me with his car?
it's because you associate it with certain things. So I was managing at a movie theater towards the end of college, and we had this employee. I was not there for this, but we had to super fire him.
Oh,
because
super fire.
Yeah,
I like this term.
Yeah. So somebody, for some reason, the fire alarm went off in the theater. Like I don't know if somebody pulled it or what it was, but the fire alarm went off and everybody was evacuated. Well, this employee had decided to then get in his car, pull into the fire lane outside of the theater, blast "We Didn't Start the Fire," climb on top of his car, take off his shirt and start whipping it around his head. And so then we fired him because
super fired him.
We super fired him.
So was the super part his part of it?
Well, no, so I mean, this guy was like huge. He was a huge guy. He was very intimidating. Okay. And the management team were all of these.
Well, he's out of the building at that point. Can you just lock the door and just be like, "You're fired"? And there's like
no, but what? So we were all kind of like about it because there were four of us, and they were all me-sized and women. Yeah. And so, and this guy was like 6'3", 6'4".
Movie theater employees in general aren't necessarily a peak physical.
No, well,
in most cases, they're usually children or young people that are meek.
Yeah, but this guy was like built like the Rock, and so we knew we had to fire him.
We hired him for protection. What are we gonna do?
Right? Yeah. Well, we pulled him into the office with all four of us, and we were like, "You're fired," because not one of us wanted to do it.
We all share the blame. Like, we need to fire.
Yeah, basically.
You.
Yeah, we had like signs and everything. It was like a fun little reveal.
And he just like, huh? What? You saying that I started a fire? Like, no.
No, that's not what it was. And then he proceeded to harass us for months. But that's why I couldn't listen to the song, was like associating it with this traumatic thing that happened.
That's really, that's a weird, and why that song? Did he ever say?
Well, because somebody pulled the fire alarm.
Oh.
And so he was like, "We didn't start the fire."
That's pretty funny.
And then there were like customer comments that were like, "Yeah, the fire alarm went off and this
dickhead started playing Billy Joel, Jilly Bowl."
Jilly Bowl.
Oh, Jilly Bowl. So is there any, I can't think of a lot. So this is, again, very dark, but the only thing kind of like that, Kenny G really fucks with me because that's what was playing at my dad's funeral. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Who made that call?
I think he did. I don't remember if it was him in general or Pat's shirt is on point. Hell yeah. Thanks, Hal. Appreciate it. Hal Kramer pounded off in the comments.
And I get shit for my gay shirt.
He did actually. No, the next comment was Shannon's shirt is dog piss. That's what he said.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well,
he actually didn't write that.
That's pretty homophobic, actually. Not gonna lie.
He said Milo got COVID. Irony. He's the lead singer of this band. He got COVID. This was early on. This was when, if you remember, early on into the pandemic. This was when bands weren't able to tour, and they're like, "We got a very special release of a album that we've been working on that's not done, and we were touring to support it. And a shirt." And they're like, basically, we need money. So I actually, there was a couple bands that I was like, yeah,
because they're not essentially like as big as other bands.
Yeah, donate $15-20 to them or whatever. But that is pretty funny. But yeah, we were what were we just saying? Oh yeah, Kenny, like I think it was either either my dad's request or like my mom just thinking it would be nice and soothing. But like now it's like, man, that really fucks.
Listen,
like,
I get the feeling behind it, but I don't think I've ever been soothed while listening to Kenny
Kenny
G.
G. Yeah, this was it was. Yeah, I don't.
It's always made me feel like I was on the set of a porno.
On edge. Oh, really?
That's
yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
I watch a different kind of porn than everybody else, but
yeah, Kenny G porno. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Speaking of trauma, jeez.
Right?
I mean?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, and you guys wonder why I am the way I am.
No, there's definitely. I have more memories or more things tied to scent. I just found out that I may, in fact, be a super smeller.
Oh.
I wasn't aware of this. I know that I have heightened senses. I'm borderline superhero. But I do. I because like I smell everything I get. I register things with smell a lot of times.
Okay.
And I associate. So like, the maybe like a sandalwood smell, like that kind of smell, Pier 1, that kind of smell.
Yeah.
Reminds me a lot of my dad's apartment because that's like the smells that he had. So like I'll like smell that and I'll remember like certain things. It's almost like a fucking weird time travel movie. Like
yeah. Well, I do have a weird thing about smells sometimes. Like I can't buy clothes from Goodwill anymore because when I walk into a Goodwill and I smell the clothes, for some reason I associate that smell with like dead skin. Like dead skin flakes.
I can see that.
Yeah. And one time, so this was
I don't know why I don't. That's why I don't buy like sheets or bedding and stuff like that, or like mattresses, pillows, shit like that from those places. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, it also freaks me out. I used to love thrifting. I used to love like buying used clothes and stuff. But then I was just like, for one day, it just hit me. I was like, this could be a dead person's clothes, and then never again.
Oh yeah, I always assumed. I just didn't assume that they are. Wait, so when you say dead skin, do you mean like dead people's skin?
I don't know what I mean by that.
Or
I think maybe I just think. No, I separate those two. I separate those two things.
Two different things.
Yeah. Shit. What was the other thing I wanted to mention about that? It
the
was
dead skin in the.
Yeah. You'd think that would jog a memory, but.
Oh, you were saying associated smells.
So I had this weird thing happen to me. You've been to the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair?
Not yet.
Really?
I'm probably fixing to get kicked out of it with Mike O'Donnell coming up.
Look
for that coming up.
Hey, that's a pretty good plug. I love that.
Yeah.
So have you been to a Renaissance
I have
fair?
been.
Okay.
I've been to in my opinion, the Renaissance Festival in Clearwater and then Tampa, Florida.
Okay. All right. I'll have to check that out.
I'm sorry to flex like that on you.
Yeah, cool. Man.
Okay.
I'm
not just the haircut.
But one time I had an envelope, right? Mm-hmm. This is relevant.
I've heard of them. Yeah.
So go on. I licked the envelope and I was like, why does this envelope taste like the Renaissance Fair smells?
I've done that so many times. I've had to fix it because I used to say this tastes like the Renaissance Festival and people go, what the fuck? Like, no. How it smells like horse shit and like turkey legs and like
I was
leather.
thinking patchouli, but
okay, yeah. Same thing. Horse shit, patchouli, same thing. I actually wear a kind of patchouli-ish deodorant. And surprisingly, I have found that it does work. So there is a patchouli product that does work to cover up smells. Okay? You don't have to use the essential oil, like...
Yeah.
I don't know why I did this. Like that. I'm doing it like they're dumping it on all over their chest. So when you licked an envelope and it tasted like the Renaissance. Smells. Yeah,
like I was like, that is the smell of it, and I don't understand how.
So that's
works.
what freaks me out. Okay, let's get in.
Science.
Let's get deep into smells.
Yeah.
Let's get deep into smells, Shannon. That's why I don't like bringing food and or drinks into any bathroom. Once it crosses the threshold,
that makes a good point. Yeah.
I remember an episode of Seinfeld where his belt touched the inside of a urinal and he threw it away, and I was like, I don't know if I'd throw it away.
It's a good call.
I would definitely disinfect it. I'd spray it down with shit. But I feel like I've got a little bit of that, but only with bathrooms. So even in my own bathroom, because I learned that when you smell like poop or fart or shit, anything like that, when you smell fart, you're smelling poop particles. It's particles of poop.
Well, now you've ruined fart smells for me.
No. It's still fun. It's still good. It's still fun. But I've learned those things either linger in my nose or in my face somewhere. I register maybe I'm part dog. Again, could be a superhero. I haven't registered. I haven't checked that off the list, but
I just can't figure out how super smell benefits the population at large. So can you dig a little bit further into that about how how that would be useful?
A bomb sniffing human seems a lot more useful
Okay.
than a bomb sniff. Like a dog goes,
yeah, but like
I can just go, hey, there's a bomb over there. And by the way, I think you should cut the grain wire. You know what I mean? I can help a little bit more.
You can smell the wires.
Give a little bit more insight.
You can smell which one's the good wire.
Green one. This is a green one.
I don't see
okay.
That's a fun bit then. Just thinking about like
fires,
I guess
gas leaks, carbon
Pat,
monoxide.
this may shock you, but I can also smell fire.
But like further than me?
Oh,
further away.
I don't know.
Me?
We'd have to. There would have to be like a smell Olympics.
Yeah, I think that's how we register, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know the benefits of it, and I really haven't had. I also have a
but how do you fight crime with it?
Well, it's not a superpower. Like, how do you like? There's superheroes like Jubilee that shoot fireworks. Why do you fight crime with that?
You distract them. It's like the illusionist in the D&D party. Like, look at this giant Godzilla monster I just created, while my ranger like pops you off with the.
Wait, what was the who's making the Godzilla monster?
Well, okay, I was just talking about how an illusionist in a Dungeons and Dragons party helps the party by like.
See,
creating...
now that's where I hop off the iceberg.
Oh,
D&D. That's where I can hold my own here, but then D&D. Oh, okay. So you go deep into smart. You like to play smart games and shit like that.
I do like a lot of games. Like I play a lot of board games. My family and I are really into board games. But I mean, it helps that I have a really nerdy dad. Like my dad was the one who got me into Dungeons and Dragons. And
that's a cool dude. I'd say he's a cool dad.
He is a cool dad.
Yeah, I've met your dad on a couple occasions. Shout out to your dad. What's his dad's
name? Brian Fields.
That's such a nerdy Brian. Dad's
it's weird
name.
To say my dad's name.
Brian. I know. I heard it.
I was just like
Brian.
Oh, he has another name that I'm not aware of.
It is weird.
Yeah.
But it's still I feel like the calling your parents by their first name.
It's weird.
It's liberating in a little way, though.
It can be.
Brian is indeed very cool. Hal agrees.
Yes.
I appreciate
it. Thank you.
Thanks
Hal.
for pounding off, bud. Not Hal. Sorry, Brian.
Yeah.
Your father.
Yes.
Did he like read you nerdy stuff, or was he just into stuff and then you got like by osmosis kind of thing? Or?
A little bit of both. My dad actually is obsessed with the idea of winning parenthood.
Okay.
Like accomplishing the ultimate nerd,
making the best kid.
Right. Yeah. So every once in a while I'll tell him hey, I watched The Wicker Man for the first time or something, and he's like, I did right by you. And, right. Well, no, and then so I told you I was helping him pack this weekend because he's moving, and otherwise it would be kind of weird to help him pack. But
he's just hanging out, but we're just tired of just shit laying around.
Yeah, right. Just pack it up, put it away.
Get your shit, put it in the closet, and just sit in this empty room.
Yeah. Well, so we were talking about a shredder, a paper shredder, and I was just like, no, I thought you had a samurai looking motherfucker upstairs that you would just hand him a document and he'd go
yeah.
And my dad's like, I've never been more proud of you.
That sounds awesome.
And he was like, well, he was like, my 26-year-old knows Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is not incredibly outside of the realm of
but he means the original.
Yeah.
He knows which one you're aware of.
Right. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So you have a really good relationship with your dad, not as much with your mom, or
not at all with my mom. I haven't spoken to her in 3 years.
Dear.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's trauma right there.
Yeah.
That's a lot of trauma.
Hopefully no songs or smells with that.
No. Well, so my mom, I do have an issue with cigarette smoke because she was a chain smoker and she would smoke inside the house. And so I often went to school smelling like smoke, and because it's rough.
I have a very fun memory tied to my mom with cigarettes as well. I used to go with my mom. She worked at home mainly, but when she used to have to go turn in her transcription documents and stuff like that, she used to transcribe medical dictation.
Oh, okay.
At home, and then she would bring in stuff, and she would have cigarettes with the ladies in the back of the office. And when she was done with her cigarette, she would wait and she would let me flick it into the little puddles so I could make it go. Isn't that cool?
Sure.
It's not. It's a nice memory. I like it.
Oh, okay. Well, if it leaves you with a good feeling,
It
then
was
good for
fun.
you.
It was a fun memory. I like it a
Yeah.
lot. But
Oh,
like,
okay.
it's also one of those things. I'm like, that's also it seems counterproductive. It's also like one of the same justifications of like the like, well, you know, go drink with your brothers. At least I know who you're drinking with. You know, I'd rather you do it at home than do it at, you know, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
It wasn't that kind of like, was your dad like that kind of? And my mom wasn't either. My mom was that was pretty, you know, rebellious, but I was also very young. I
Yeah.
think she was very young as a mother too.
Yeah, my dad was 19 when
But
I was born.
so was he like, he's like, cool, you know these cool things,
Yeah.
you're smart, you're considerate, like,
Yeah.
was he like, also get fucked up around me, let's get you know, like,
well, we are much
was you
closer
like
than
the
I
party
find.
house or
No, not the party house. And what's really crazy is that you know, I see all these things on the television about like children who like
you talk like your dad too,
yeah.
probably on the television, on the Twitters, see it all the time.
That, you know, kids who sneak out and kids who like underage drink and stuff like that. I never did any of
Never
that
did it.
shit.
I did
But
underage drink, but
well, I did. My prom night was like the first time I'd ever done that.
Really?
And, yeah. And
wow, what a hack.
Yeah.
you're
yeah.
like a hack kid.
Yeah.
you did all this stuff. See, you had the act, but that's a genuine movie teenager experience.
Yeah.
That's not like,
but I never had to sneak out or anything like that. Mostly because I mean, I didn't really have a reason to.
yeah. Well, you had no desire to.
No,
Yeah.
because I enjoyed spending time
It's
with
fun
my
at
family.
home. This is where all my
Yeah.
board games are.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, my dad and my stepmom, they were really good at creating an environment where I felt comfortable to come to them about things.
Right.
And
that's what makes good parents. Like,
Right.
seriously, that is a great
right,
parent.
absolutely. Like anytime I've ever been in trouble or like made a mistake, I've been, you know, I don't keep it from them. I'm very comfortable being like, hey, I need help. And I've been in situations where like my mom wasn't like that. My mom very much was like, here are the rules, you have to stick to them. And then I broke all of her rules.
Yeah. And that's how it's gonna be. Yeah. And that really is how, like, I from absolutely no experience, I can tell you that's exactly how it's gonna go. Well, experience as like, I was the youngest.
Mhm.
So by the end of, after my two older brothers, my mom was kind of like I was literally, I don't think she was, here, flick my cigarette in the puddle, at the beginning of
Yeah.
the three boys.
Yeah.
But I think after the two boys, and then also like her and my dad splitting and all this
Mhm.
other stuff, and her life completely changing
Yeah.
from what she expected it to be,
Mhm.
I think was kind of like, yes, okay, drink at your brother's house. I'd rather you drink there than out, and I don't know
Yeah.
where you are. You know what I mean? Like, or if you're gonna hang out with older kids and do stuff, I'd rather you do it with them, because I was hard on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she was like, I was harder on them than, or you know, it's kind of, so I didn't really have that either. So I also didn't really have a desire to rebel, but by that time there wasn't a lot of rules in general.
Right.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
and that was the thing too, in terms of like, so when I was working at the movies, you know, I was always kind of shocked at like all of the teenagers that would try to sneak into rated R films. Cause
Yeah.
when I was a kid, when I was in high school, middle school, if there was a movie I wanted to see, usually my dad wanted to see it too.
Yeah.
So we would go together, and it wasn't like a weird thing for us. And
do you think there was a movie that he brought you to that he was like, oh shit, I might not, like, that might
not a movie, but I was probably 11 or 12 when True Blood came out on HBO.
Fuck.
And I had read the books.
Yeah.
Because,
okay.
And
so you know what
Yeah.
that's gonna be like.
Yeah, well, we didn't really know what it was going to be.
You didn't know
like,
what that first. I know what that first
we all
episode's
sat
like.
down and watched the first episode together, and you know that meme of like Homer Simpson like pulling into the bushes. That was me.
We did that. I don't know if we were married yet or not, but we were all living at. No, I think we were at the time, but we were all living with my mom. Like, and it was me, Dom, my mom, and like I think Dom and my mom had read some of the books.
Mhm.
And they were really excited the show was coming out.
And the books weren't incredibly sexual. They were
not
really
like that.
more focused on the romance part of it. And Sookie actually, I believe, was, well, yeah, and
Sookie.
they said it in the show too, where she was a virgin until she met Bill.
Right.
So it was, you know, we didn't really think it was going to be all that sexual, and then it was. And same thing with Game of Thrones. Like, we watched Game of Thrones as a family and stuff like that. So at that point in my life, like especially the True Blood stuff, my dad was like, let's not talk about this at school.
Yeah.
But I also had a poster of Eric Northman in my bedroom, like
Okay.
from the blonde vampire, Alexander Skarsgård.
Oh yeah, I remember.
You Have My Heart.
I watched the whole series.
It was so good.
I probably won't watch it again.
No, you
but
wouldn't need to.
It's one of those things
Everything
that
dials in just fine the first time.
Dom really liked the books, obviously,
Mhm.
and also the series because look at all that eye candy.
Oh yeah, on
But-
both sides.
Well,
I was very
look,
excited about the whole cast.
in my opinion, and this is going to sound controversial, Shannon, not enough of the ladies got nude.
I agree.
Like
agree.
I think that one lady, who I wasn't because of her age in the show, but the redheaded lady.
Oh, okay, Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica. Like she, Jessica.
Yep, because he said them all like that.
Eric. Suki. Any of them. I can't remember any more names. Sam. But I feel like a lot of them were like they would wear like a covering or something like that. But like I saw miraculous levels of like man nudity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was almost the opposite of, and I'm assuming that's why a lot of the ladies liked it. But it was like it was a vampire soap opera.
Yeah.
It was an all right show.
Yeah.
But I remember my Aunt Lizette, I think, took us to, I think we went to the theaters for it. This is a crazy, I don't know if you know this movie. You may get this reference because of how cool your dad is. Again, shout out Brian. My Aunt Lizette took me and my brothers to the theaters to see Exit to Eden.
I haven't seen, I've heard the title, but I haven't seen it.
It's a movie starring, it is a completely understandable mistake. It is a movie starring Rosie O'Donnell and Dan Aykroyd.
Okay.
They are FBI agents that are infiltrating a swingers resort.
Interesting.
And BDSM sexual fantasy camp to try to recover. I don't know. There's somebody.
See, now I'm wondering why I haven't seen this movie.
It is.
It sounds like it's right.
It
up my
might be a joyful romp at this point, but if I watch it now, I might just be like,
I saw watching this with my aunt.
Yeah, seeing it with my aunt, and also going like, there's like some scenes in it. There's like very sexual and it's like a weird scene with like somebody rubbing ice on a nipple and like doing like it's like that passionate lovemaking scenes.
Yeah, very intimate.
And like then also jokes and stuff. But she was thinking like, it's a Ghostbuster and fucking Rosie O'Donnell.
Was it Rosie O'Donnell's nipple?
No.
Okay.
No. And that's another thing. No nudity from either one of them either.
Oh,
pussies,
weird.
Right?
Yeah, it's like if you're gonna double down on it.
It's a weird movie where like it feels like they had some weird sex movie that they wanted to put out, and like they were like, okay, well, we need to try to get this in theaters. We'll just put Rosie O'Donnell and Dan Aykroyd in it, or maybe they're just pervs. I don't know. But she was and I don't know why we stayed for the whole movie. Like that was the other thing. Is like I understand we went to Jurassic Park. That's another one where you're like, when I was that age, I was probably too young to see Jurassic Park. But I went with my dad and my brothers. Like we all went as a family. He's like, yeah, we're gonna go see Jurassic Park, and I loved it. But I was still scared. But it was still great.
Right.
Exit to Eden was just like inappropriate, and it was like, what are we watching? Like I don't know. I'm not old enough to see this.
So that's a funny thing for me, where I know there are people in the world that don't finish movies or books, that they just walk away from them. And I have a hard time doing that, especially with movies. If I've spent money on it, I'm like, I'm going to get my money's worth out of this film. And I'm going to force myself to read it or watch it.
Yeah.
And the same thing with books. And there are very few books that I've just straight up not even finished. There are some that I wish I had, but
like what? So you seem like somebody that would like blow through a book.
Yeah.
You.
Well, so I was going to tell you that. So usually I'm reading 2 books at a time.
Could you do book on tape for me?
Book on tape for you?
Yeah.
Like.
Did I say that right?
Yeah. Like
you said that like I was saying it differently.
It sounded like how an old person talks about.
Can you do a book on tape for me? I'll give you a cassette player and you maybe just walk around a bit and read it to me. You read a book to me, yeah.
Well, I don't know how good my voice would translate to audiobooks. But
I don't know. I think you would be great. No, like I don't know if this sounds weird or not, but I feel like you would be great at bedtime stories. Like you would do voices and shit like that because of your dad. I bet your dad did shit like that too.
I don't know.
Did he read it to you or anything like that?
Well, he left when I was 6, so I don't really have a whole lot of memories.
Wait, what?
Well, he came and then he came back later. Okay. Like he was gone from like 6 to 12.
Oh,
because my parents split up when I was 6, and he moved to California.
gotcha.
So we
That's
were
how we
here.
got so
And,
cool.
yeah, I know those California people.
But I interrupted. I
No, it's okay.
apologize.
So my mom actually would read to us a lot, but when it comes to like a lot of the books that I got into later on, my dad and my stepmom were really instrumental in that.
Mhm.
And it was really funny too, because when we would go shopping, you know how like kids are always like, I want a toy, I want a toy. Well, my mom, like, we were really poor growing up, so we almost never got toys. But
Yeah.
when we went out with my dad and my stepmom, when we went to a store, we were always allowed to get a book. Didn't matter. Like, if we're at a store and you see a book
I
that
think
you
I
want
would
to read,
do that too. I would have that rule
Yeah.
too. Like if you want a book, I
Yeah.
would get you a book. With me, it was always I wanted a magazine. But
Yeah.
it was, to me, it was reading.
Well, my dad was cool with comic books too. I got
Yeah.
comic books too when I was a
'Cause
kid.
it's so fucking cool.
Yeah, I know. He was a cool dude. And so a lot of the writers that I still love today are writers that were introduced to me by them. So like Terry Pratchett, I love him, and it was really heartbreaking for me when he died back in like 2005.
What would I know
No,
about
not
him?
2005. 2005 when he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
That sucks.
Yeah, well, he did Good Omens with Neil Gaiman.
Oh.
They wrote it together.
Yeah, I know what
so-
that is.
You really? Or are you fucking with me?
No, I just don't know what that is. I'm sorry.
No, it's a really good book.
You said that so confidently that I was like, should I know that? Like you
Well,
really did. Like that. Like you are.
Yeah.
I think you would be a great educator.
Oh, thank you.
Because you do that thing where like a teacher would do and be like, yeah, yes, that is the problem. Yeah. I'm like, I'm ready to solve this thing.
Yeah. So if anybody hasn't read it,
That's obviously one you finished.
That is one I
you did
finished.
finish, yeah.
But the interesting thing with me is some books I can't physically read.
Okay.
And I don't know why. So like
That's all of
I
them.
could not physically read Lord of the Rings. I wanted to.
Dom had that trouble. Yeah, because she tore
but we were
through
talking
those.
about
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
how like I couldn't physically read Dune,
Mm-hmm.
couldn't physically read Lord of the Rings. I had to do audiobooks because
Right.
it was the only way I could finish those books. And I don't
That makes me feel better. Like that
Yeah.
makes me feel a little bit better that even people that love reading
Yeah.
or enjoy, like there's still things that you're like, no. I would think that because it's the only way I can translate it is like to like if I'm rolling, like I'm doing rolling jujitsu.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily always want the biggest challenge all the time too.
Right.
I understand that too. You want your kind of your mental junk food sometimes, or some of the easier ones that you can kind of gulp up, like be like,
And that's what I've been trying to teach Ryan
4-pagers
about reading, because he's just like, I feel like I should read, but it feels like a chore. I'm like, that's the thing though, like reading shouldn't feel like a chore. If you want to read, you should be reading things that you want to read.
Right. And that I try that too. And I get like halfway through and then like I kind of just I can't, it's almost like I get too invested in it. And then I have to take a break.
Yeah. And then you have a hard time getting back into it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
that happens to me.
Somebody told me, actually, Tyler actually just mentioned yesterday, he's like, make notes. And I was like, yeah, I own the fucking book. I can write in the son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Like write actual notes. And I was like, oh, wait, is that what notes are?
Yeah.
That's what like footnotes are or cliff notes or whatever?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know either?
No.
I figured you know because you were smart.
Well,
or are smart. Sorry.
I was smart.
You were smart.
I
You were
remember
smart until
back
that
in the
fucking part,
day.
Shannon.
I got distracted.
Yeah, me too. We're talking about books
Was
that
there
you
a
read.
sound that distracted me?
I think we both said at the same time.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
That was probably what it was.
Okay, so a book I did not finish. American Psycho, weirdly enough, because I love horror books and horror movies and like thrillers, and I watched serial killer documentaries and all that kind of stuff. I thought I was desensitized to everything.
Yeah.
But when I sat down to read American Psycho, I've never walked away from something being too vulgar, and I walked away from that book because it just made me uncomfortable to read.
Yeah.
And have you ever read it?
No.
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I've seen the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously. And the movie's pretty disturbing.
It is. Yeah. But I watched the movie just fine. The book, way worse.
Oh.
Way worse. It's racist. It's sexist. It's violent against women, of course, but like
in detail.
In very intense detail. And
that's crazy.
Yeah. And so I had to walk away from it. I was like, I literally cannot finish this book.
There was a book that I started. This is actually a testament to how good this book was. It was a Chuck Palahniuk book.
Oh, I don't know him.
He's a guy who did like Fight Club and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Fight Club. He did.
I didn't read it, but I watched the film.
But yeah, it's I didn't read that either. Actually, I read a book of his called Haunted, or I
Mhm.
started Haunted,
Okay.
and it was so good that like when that started happening, where I started getting that, I actually downloaded the audiobook and
And
started
picked it up from
over
there.
and
Yeah.
listened, because you're talking about Disturbed. That book, like it stays with like there is no movie for it, and it only exists in book form or audiobook form. So the visuals I have in my head
Or worse,
are,
probably.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that, it's my imagine, because your imagination in most cases is going to be so much worse than the reality of any
Yeah.
scenario, most scenarios.
Hmm.
And but like when you're left to your imagination, that is
Yeah.
truly a book that is fucking crazy. I would
Well,
say, like,
and
as
see,
far
of
as
course, I'm
challenging,
sitting here and like adding it to my reading list as we speak.
but that's what I'm saying. Try it out. Like, it's
Yeah.
one of those things where it's not specifically, I don't think any of those things that you're talking about. That does sound like where it's like, is this like a manifesto, or is this like
Well, that was how I was feeling. I was like, this just feels like a very disturbed person writing down and just writing the worst, sitting down and writing the worst things that they can think of.
yeah.
And that just didn't, it wasn't entertaining for me. It wasn't, and it's weird because like when Midsommar came out, did you see that?
That's the one. Yeah. I've
That's
been saying, I called it Midsummer for probably the first year or so that it was
yeah,
out. And then I go, oh, it's Midsummer. But what did you say? How'd you say it?
Midsommar.
Midsummer. I'm
That's
going to go
how
with your
the
pronunciation. You're
director.
smarter than me.
Well, that's how the director said it in the interview
Oh,
that I
there you go.
saw. So I'm going with. I mean, if
Midsummer.
that's how he wants it. But that was
Disturbing, suspensefully disturbing movie.
yeah. Well, Ari Aster. I mean, I loved Hereditary. That kind of that took over as my favorite horror film.
Very haunting visuals in that as well.
Yeah.
Very like fucked
Yeah.
up parts. Yeah, for
But
sure.
and that's the thing though is I enjoyed. I wasn't sitting there like yeah fuck yeah,
But
but like it was something that I could
you like to
appreciate.
test yourself, a
Right.
lot of
And
times too. Yeah.
and I can see how gore and violence can be intriguing in some ways. And so I could appreciate something like Midsommar or something like Hereditary.
Yeah.
I was working for the movies when Midsommar came out, and this old man came out, and it was actually weeks after he'd seen the film, and he was trying to get a refund for it. And I was like, "You cannot get a refund for a movie that you saw weeks ago."
I've been having nightmares for weeks now.
Well, and he was like, "That movie was terrible. I hated it," and I was like, "I'm sorry, I can't give you a refund." And he was like, "Nobody liked that film." And I was like, "Well, actually, I have seen the film and
Fucking
I
love it.
really enjoyed it." And he was
Love it,
like,
bro.
"You liked when that person got their head bashed in by a boulder?" And I was like, "No, clearly I didn't enjoy, like, I did
Yeah.
not get satisfaction out of that scene, but I appreciate it." But, like, at the same time, why am I trying to explain
what
this
am
to
I-
someone
what
who
am I-
obviously doesn't appreciate something like that?
The fact that like it's not about enjoying the act, it's about the vision, like the storytelling of
Right.
why or how somebody could be capable of that or justify actions like that. To me, that was the part where there's a great show that I just was just talking about. It's got Spider-Man in it. The Spider-Man nobody likes, not Tobey Maguire, the other one, Andrew Garfield.
Nobody likes Andrew
I
Garfield?
guess not. He's the
I
least
love
popular. I
him.
thought. I don't mind. I
I mean,
don't
I
think
didn't love his films so much, but I think he's a great actor, and I enjoy
him
him.
in this show. Under the Veil of Heaven.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it.
That is a show where like it's
I thought you meant like literal Spider-Man was in this
No,
show.
sorry.
Like
the guy who's
this
Spider-Man.
was a show about Spider-Man.
Yeah, you have to understand. You gotta slow it down, Shannon. Slow your thought process down. Be like, oh yeah, the guy
I have
who played-
ADHD. That's almost impossible.
So do I. Unfortunately,
Oh,
I
this
think
is fun, guys. This is great.
undiagnosed.
I mean, even in this conversation, I think it's pretty much. I mean, if a psychiatrist or a psychologist were sitting down watching us have a conversation, they'd be like, "Yeah, these two people definitely have ADHD."
These
With
two
how many
people-
topics we've covered and how long have we been doing this?
If
Now,
they
like
didn't
20 minutes.
I call the show "Drowning in a Sea of Consciousness," a stream of consciousness. Sorry, but no, I that show in particular is like him over time. It's like it is people justifying their actions in the name of like their beliefs, like
Mhm.
that they think that this is like kind of a prophecy, kind of like, you know what I mean, like that kind of shit. And that's the same idea of like people are like in Midsummer. They have that same idea of like this is like completely, I don't know if it's not gonna, I'm not going to, I don't think I'm giving too much away, but you said that thing, but like somehow somebody
Yeah,
could justify that
yeah,
rightfully and be like, this is just, this is how it goes around here. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Kind of
Well,
thing.
and Midsmart, I definitely recommend it.
You like
But
how I hit the brakes there and I was like, oh, let me not spoil that movie real
yeah,
quick.
but well, and this doesn't really spoil it
Right.
because it's a lot of it is people are aware of it because of the trailer and things like that. But it a lot of it centers around the idea, and I've seen a lot of shows that do this too, and just the idea of like different cultures and what's appropriate in those cultures, and
Hmm.
and going into also like it's really wild that this is a norm for people, and they've
Yeah.
explored that in things like Star Trek, and saying like, oh, that's a weird thing because that's not how we do it, but it is very violent. So of
Yeah.
course for us it's like,
It seems more brutal and a lot more. It's with us, death is so personal.
yeah,
Like with, I think a lot of maybe other cultures, it's just they realize they've come to terms with like this is part of life.
yeah. Well,
And,
and that's what got me about there's a episode of Star Trek The Next Generation that I think about all the time, and I use it a lot when I'm talking about like moral quandaries, and it's
Mortal quandaries. Sorry.
fucking
I wanted to
so
just knock you right off your train of
yeah,
thought.
that
My
scene, we're
part.
really good at that. No, but I've still got it. Star Trek The Next Generation.
Moral quandaries.
Moral quandaries. So there's an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where they run into a culture because they're all like, the prime directive, we don't interfere with other cultures and stuff like that. And in that culture, when you reach a certain age, they just kill you.
Isn't that
But
Logan's Run or something like that, or
right,
one
but
of those
there's a
movies?
lot of
Yeah, yeah,
there's a lot of them that are about that. So of
but yeah,
course,
that same idea.
yeah, of course, when the Enterprise crew like experience that, they're just like, oh, that's so vulgar. But then they bring up in the episode like the the people in the other civilization, they say, well, you leave your old people to rot in nursing homes, so how more or
Yeah.
less
Yeah,
like despicable is that?
it's one of those things that they're all reacting to it, going like, "That's terrible," as like 40-something-year-olds, and you're like, "That's awful," because we're almost there.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
don't think of the fact that, but that's a great point to any culture that has any kind of like different, like, because that's another thing is a, like if they have a different view on how people should be treated in general,
yeah.
I think that is the root to how they treat, like, but it doesn't translate, I don't think, the same way to like animals. Like some
Mhm.
people certain cultures may say, we will, there's a responsibility by the family to have children so that they are taken care of, and it's responsibility of the children to take care of the parents for as long as they can, give them the best life possible. But will, they also have festivals where they eat animals that we think are adorable.
Right.
Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like where you're
Yeah.
like, fuck. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like what is the quandary there? But also, hey, that's how they do it. Like
Right.
you can't say what right or wrong. It's all perspective in that sense.
Yeah. And I like stories like that.
Yeah.
That's why I continue to watch films and shows like that. Another a series of films that people are always like, I can't believe you watch that. Like, I love the Saw films. Love them.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
Have you seen them?
That's another one that I'm not like, yeah, I'm not huge into.
Well, and that's the thing is like there is a lot of gratuitous violence, but
It's
it
not
also
even that. No, it's just
right.
jump scare stuff. Like I
Oh,
thought of it.
yeah.
I've heard the first one is really good.
It
Like
is.
very good movie, but it's also like,
Well, the first couple move films, like the first two or three, incredible storytelling, and that's what I love about it. Is just they play with some fun.
So you must love like Black Mirror.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotcha. Like
So
Twilight Zone, like any of
Mhm.
those things. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
I gotcha.
I do love the Twilight Zone. I like sometimes when I can't sleep, I turn on the old Twilight
Oh,
Zones.
that would creep
Um,
me out. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and I have another friend. I was talking to somebody recently that it's actually my boss. She at anytime we talk to a new person, she's like, I watch serial killer documentaries to fall asleep. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you for telling yet another person that. I've just seen her say it to like 3 different people.
Like as a warning, like a red
I
flag.
don't know I don't know what the process behind it is.
But you
but-
watch, but you'll the first couple of Saw films you were talking about. I
Yeah, so the first
apologize.
couple Saw films, the storytelling in terms of how they play with timelines and things like that, incredible. Just I am really bad because I'm really good at guessing what's going to happen in a movie. So if
Same,
a
yeah.
movie does surprise me, that does it for me. I'm like, that is the perfect movie. That's why Hereditary like took over as like my favorite horror film.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with like,
Have you ever seen The Mist?
no, but I want to.
It's a
I'm also,
terrible movie.
oh,
It's an awful movie, and
well,
it's not
I'm
even so bad it's
obsessed.
good. Are you really? Have you
No,
read the
no.
book?
Well, see, I'm
Okay.
obsessed with reading books before the movie.
Okay.
And I don't always follow that, but it really,
This one, it's I don't know if I honestly can't vouch for the book, but I
yeah.
can tell you if it's anything like the movie, it's probably dog shit. So just watch the movie.
Okay.
It's just a couple hours,
Yeah.
and then maybe if you're like that was dog shit, but
Yeah.
it has the best ending I think I've ever seen in a movie.
Oh, okay.
The
I'll have to check
last
that out.
3 minutes of that movie are like, what?
Well, so that's why I was so disappointed in the newest Saw film, because I'm so used to the Saw films really wowing me with the storytelling.
Yeah.
But with this most recent Saw film, if I had spent money on that film, I would have been so pissed.
Yeah.
I would have been just angry because I was sitting in the theater, and this is when I got to see free movies because, well, I still get to see free movies, but
Humble brag, guys.
yeah, I know, not to flex.
Jesus.
Sorry, my bra strap's like all twisted.
It's okay. It happens to me all the time.
So I was so angry because I'm like sitting there and I'm like, okay, and then this is gonna happen, and then this is gonna happen, and I basically wrote the movie while I was sitting there. I basically should have been like, I should have had a writing credit.
Mm-hmm. I hate that. I hate that because it's like it's when they're so predictable.
Yeah.
That's why every single Marvel movie I gave up going to Marvel movies because
I almost gave up.
I
recently.
wonder if they're gonna win.
Well, and I almost gave up recently too because recently I saw Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
That was a pretty cool one because that was fucked up. That was Sam Raimi. That was a rated R one.
Right. And then I saw Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yep.
And those two had really disappointed me. So when the new Thor came out, I was like, all right, this is your last chance, Marvel. And they redeemed themselves. But
oh, really?
They did. I
heard like mixed reviews about the latest one.
I loved it.
Love and Thunder or something like that.
Love and Thunder, yeah. I mean, some of it was,
even Christian Bale, but he bitches about everything.
Yeah.
Doesn't he go like so you saw the most recent Saw movie, didn't love it, but like was it because it wasn't like the gore, or not the gore, but like
it was predictable. It was way too predictable.
Like that was it. Like that, but was it predictable because it was predictable in the sense that like as a Saw movie or as just a movie in general?
Both.
Okay.
I mean, so I was disappointed because as a Saw
Hey
film,
Bear. Sorry, Casey's here.
Oh, hello. It was disappointing because as a Saw film, I've come to have a certain like the Saw films have established themselves as being excellent storytelling.
Yeah.
And then this movie came along and completely trashed that reputation. And I was like, no, this is not the caliber of storytelling that I've come to expect from a Saw film. And I was really upset about that.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that like it was derivative of stuff they've done before. And
it's like, why are you redoing? That's what I always worry about. So many movies that get remade that you're like, you're just doing a photocopy.
Yeah.
It's just, you're just making another.
And I don't usually mind a remake. I don't. Yeah. But so let me tell you about another remake that is coming out that I'm not super thrilled about.
Please share.
Okay. Interview with the Vampire. Okay. Did you see they're coming out?
Bitch.
You see they're coming out with a new series for Interview with the Vampire.
I feel like I just saw that.
Yeah.
Did that just get announced or something?
Yeah, that did just get announced. The trailer was released a couple weeks ago.
Okay, yeah.
Have you read the books?
No, come on.
I'm just asking.
Shannon, I'm going to just clear this up right now.
Have not read a book
nope.
in your life.
Well, The Shining, I think I finished The Shining. I don't know if I finished The Shining or not, but I read most of The Shining.
Okay.
Some of it.
It took me like 3 months.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That was a long one.
That's it. Like,
okay.
Sorry, I apologize.
I mean, no,
and then
okay.
Actually autobiographies, comedian autobiographies, David Cross's, Patton Oswalt's, Zombie Spaceship Wasteland. I read the whole thing beginning to end. David Cross's I Drink for a Reason, beginning to end. Comedian autobiographies.
I don't know if I
Holy
would
shit! Did
enjoy
I just figure out books that I read?
Yeah, I think you
Like
did.
I read them in a night, but I can't stop. That's my problem.
Yeah.
I treat it like a movie. I'm like, this is great. This
Yeah.
should be like an hour long.
You can't walk away from it.
I can't stop. Yeah. So maybe, damn.
No, I understand.
I just forgot.
We've
I
had a
actually like
breakthrough.
some books.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you're fine. So have you seen the movie though?
Which one?
Interview with the Vampire.
Yes. Is
Okay.
that the one with Brad Pitt,
Tom
and
Cruise, Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten. Sorry,
Kristen?
if you're gonna say say the name earlier, what was the one earlier? Sorry, not literally over here. You're not that ADHD, are you?
Yeah, I am. I literally, something was happening to me the other day where I just completely. Oh, I was talking to somebody I was working with, and all of a sudden I heard rain, and I was like, "Did I put my windows up? I don't think I put my windows up." Shit, and then I completely forgot what I had been talking about before that.
Luckily, I remembered Interview with a Vampire.
Yes,
with the Kirsten Dunst, Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise,
Antonio Banderas,
Christian. No, some Ethan Hawke.
No,
who was that guy?
Which guy?
The interviewer.
The
guy who was the titular
Christian Slater.
That's
okay,
it.
he wasn't the titular.
He was the
character.
interviewer.
Well, yes, but
it wasn't interviewer with a vampire.
Interviewer. No, it was interview with the vampire.
And there was just him in a selfie. Interviewer with a vampire.
That was on the cover of the book. I don't know if you
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember the book. Oh, I forgot Antonio Banderas was in it too.
Yeah, it's crazy. Nice. I mean, so I have been waiting for a Lestat series because when you read the books, they really don't give a shit about Louis whatsoever. That was Tom Cruise's character.
Oh, like a offshoot, like his version.
Well, it's hard to explain when you haven't read the books, but the thing is, the first book all about Louis, which
somebody just actively condescend to me, guys. If you haven't read the books, it's not. Really.
That sounded pretty.
Hold on, let me dumb this down for you.
Not gonna lie.
I got it. It's all right. No offense.
Brad Pitt's character Louis, obviously Interview with the Vampire, all about Louis basically, but every single book after that has to do with Tom Cruise's character Lestat. Okay. So I've been waiting for a Lestat series because he's a much more interesting character. Louis spends pretty much the rest of the series being brooding and sad.
Yeah, he was such a bitch about getting turned into a vampire.
I know. It's like, you asked for this, asshole. Anyway, so the series that I saw, they were coming out with a series. I was like, fuck yeah, they're going to be so true to the source material. I've seen a lot of really great series coming out of books recently that have been like the new It movies were really true to the source material. And I was really excited about that.
The original.
The book.
Yeah.
So I was really excited to see Interview with a Vampire series. What they've done to see how they massacred my boy. Okay.
How'd they do it?
So Louis lives in Louisiana. He's a plantation owner. Okay. They've not only, and it was like in
now?
No, he was before he got turned into a vampire. He was a plantation owner.
Got it.
And so the books are set in the 1700s, 1800s. They've moved it forward, so the events are happening a full 2 centuries later in the early 1900s.
Okay. But they're the same characters?
Same characters, and they've made Louis black. Which normally I'm all for, diversity and like I don't care that obviously, they change like things like that, but Louis
that they change things like that. I know you don't mean
but Louis was a plantation owner, and that was like a whole part of his character was that like he was a slave owner and like all this stuff, and now they've made him black, and I'm just like, that's not part of the
actually changing but this isn't okay. So this is a legitimate argument in the sense that like how a lot of people and I know Manny watches anime, some other people, you even probably I totally assume you watch anime.
No, it's totally fine. Well, so like Manny would know, of course, like the Death Note situation was they whitewashed Death Note entirely, like Ghost in the Shell and like all of these other ones.
Is there like, do you feel like this is in the sense, because that's my argument all the time with characters, the person who invented the character, who wrote the story, has determined like who people are and what they are. They are in fact completely fictitious, but they said so. Like that was my main problem with. I used to do a co-host a podcast called the Buddha Boys with a friend of mine, and I ended up banning a listener. I don't know if you can do this, banning them from listening to you because until I received a formal written apology
Oh wow.
for me and one Freddy Krueger, two separate written apologies, personalized, they can't be the same thing,
Mhm.
for him accusing Freddy Krueger of being a child molester. Because I said he is not a child molester. He is, in fact, a child killer. It is stated very clearly that all he does to children is strictly murder them. He
right.
terrorizes them and he
But
murders them.
can we also talk about the fact that in a lot of the Nightmare on Elm Street films,
He gets real touchy grabby,
with the
creepy.
teenagers, yeah. I mean,
awful.
I think
That's awful.
molestation is not too far of a stretch for him.
I'm just saying, all of the accusations have been that he is a admitted child killer.
I keep forgetting to like move away from the mic when I swallow,
You're
and
fine.
I think everybody's getting some good ASMR from this.
Don't worry about it. It's totally fine. They love it. They actually like when you slurp, burp, fart, anything into the mic. But,
Excellent.
But
I'm gonna pretend like that's not sexual in nature.
Don't have to. No. I mean like like this slurp. But but there's like a distinction of the fans seem to have this this expectation of like how they think it should be.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. That's what you want.
Right.
But like ultimately the person who created it should have the final say. So like in a situation like that, where like I don't know if they thought that it would be like a touchy issue or something like that, but why not, if you're going to change the race of a character, and one of them is a plantation owner.
Yeah, they kept
Wouldn't
the other
it be
guy
more
white.
satisfying to be the one that turns him into a vampire? Because you said Lestat, isn't Lestat the older one?
Lestat is the older one, and they kept him white.
Make him black.
Right. I was like, why? You could make Lestat black.
You're not changing this. You can just.
Absolutely.
We don't know about him. He's mysterious. He comes from this earlier time.
Well, and they also made,
and it's also satisfying to say you're a plantation owner.
Right. So, and the thing about that is too, where
I'm a better TV writer than them.
Right. Yeah. Well, I had no problem with like when they did the new Annie and they made her black. I didn't care about that. Like, yeah, that makes sense.
It's not ever specified. It just says that she's a redhead, but who gives a fuck?
Right. And like, you know, when they did the Cursed Child and made Hermione black, like that was fine.
The only thing I didn't like is the most recent Fantastic Beasts, and this isn't, they didn't change the rate. They just literally changed Johnny Depp to a completely different character.
Yeah.
I watched half of that movie with Dom, and I was like, "Who the fuck is that guy?"
Mads Mikkelsen.
And she's like, "That's Johnny. That's who Johnny Depp was." And I was like, "What? Yeah. That's Johnny Depp?" I was like, "They don't even try to make him look the same."
No. Yeah.
What can't they just say at the beginning? I used a facelift.
But they did the same thing in the first Fantastic Beasts. Is he had a disguise and he didn't look like.
But they were
himself.
The same race. We're not talking about that.
Right. Well, anyway, no, it's fine.
But you're right. They do it all the time in anime. They do it all the time in other movies.
And in some cases, it's totally fine, and I don't care that they want to be inclusive. That's fine. But the fact is that completely changing the race changes really like monumental parts of the story.
In that story, yes.
Yeah. And it's frustrating for me. Also, there's the baby vampire Claudia. She's supposed to be like 6 years old, and in the trailer, she's like 14.
Yeah.
And it's
also,
like,
couldn't she be? She could also like make her black.
She is black.
Go for it.
And they did make her black. And I was like, okay, that's fine.
Totally fine.
But so I was like, okay, so not only am I not getting a Lestat spinoff series, but you're going to ruin what I already had. Thank you very much.
Well, okay. So you say ruin now. They're changing it. You don't know if it's ruined yet. You don't know if it's ruined.
But I loved the book so much.
But okay, so this is my argument, and I love that you said, I love the book, and you're fucking such a book lover. And you worked in a movie theater. Controversial. Because it's usually one or the other.
Being put on trial here.
Controversial. Okay, have a seat, counselor. No, I think that when people say the book was better than the movie or the movie's better than the book or whatever, first of all, in my opinion, the movie's always better because you don't have to read.
Okay, that's a hot take, but
it's a very hot take.
It's the hottest of takes.
Okay, I'm not done.
Oh shit!
I don't think they're not the same. It's not the same. It's two completely. And I would even say this sometimes. There's a show that we just watched that is about a lady that gets stranded. I should really pay attention to the names of shows that we watch.
Yeah.
Pardon me. It was a show where a lady gets stranded in the middle of like fucking Alaska wilderness or something like that, and she has to survive all on her own. Plane goes down, and she has to try to and in the show, like she's working through a bunch of emotional shit. She's like kind of like going over her life choices, her life in general, where she's at, all this stuff. It's really, 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 really in like it goes really into a lot of past traumas that she goes into, how she feels about her mom, how she feels about her dad, how she feels about her coworker, and it's like all this shit. And I'm like, after like episode 3, halfway through episode 3, I go, is she gonna get out of here? Like I told Dom, I was like, I can't take this much longer because
Yeah.
they're not telling a story, they're telling a history. Like
Yeah.
they're telling her history, and it's really not that interesting. She has a fucked up relationship with her mom leaving. She had a tumultuous, or what is it?
Tumultuous.
Thank you. A
I'm
relationship with,
smart.
yeah, tumultuous. I've been saying, I was saying turmeric for the longest time, but it's turmeric.
Oh, well, I've never
Whoops.
even tried to say that word.
Well, I take it. So I got 2 up on you. but there's a but I like there's it's a show. It's a show that would make a pretty good movie.
Okay.
It's a pretty boring show that would make an okay movie.
You know, and I've run into that a couple of times where I'm like, this should have been a show or this should have been a movie.
That's my new argument.
Yeah.
Is not the book is better than the movie, because to me that's not even, you can't even argue it. It's completely different.
Well, that's kind
But
of like
when it's like show or movie, I'm like, this, I say this is, I wish this was a movie. Like when they made Hateful Eight? No. What's the Quentin Tarantino one?
I don't know.
I
know
Hateful Eight. Yeah, I think it's Hateful Eight with Kurt Russell.
Well,
am I having a stroke?
I'm trying. I'm not equipped for emergencies, please. Well, I'm trying to remember because there was Hateful Eight, but then there's another one that's like a parody off of Hateful Eight that I don't want to misconstrue as the
Unsurly Seven.
No, it's like some fucking. I think it's the one that has like all the brothers and like Taylor Lautner plays like a really. I don't know.
No, it's not that one. The one I'm thinking of is the Hateful Eight.
Okay,
I just double checked. It was a movie by Quentin Tarantino. Mm-hmm. With again, with all the greatest, and Quentin Tarantino automatically is going to be at least a good movie.
Yeah.
For the most part, but like
I have a weird. I don't love Quentin Tarantino, but I appreciate him.
Yeah, like my least favorite of his films, I think, aside from, I didn't really love Jackie Brown. I also but the Kill Bill ones are, I get it. I'm just it's not for me. I'm not really that kind of not that kind of guy. But Hateful Eight, I was like, this seems like it would be okay. Hate it. I fell asleep. Didn't like it at all. It didn't draw me in even a little bit. Nothing about the storytelling. I don't know what it was. And I was just like, this movie's too long. This is a bullshit. This is terrible. Mm-hmm. Then he recuts it somehow to where it's like a 6 or 7 episode series on Netflix.
Oh.
And it's awesome. I've watched it like 3 times.
Oh, wow.
I love it. Huh. So there's something, sometimes it works. I think that to me is the new argument, not book or movie.
Should it be
a show or a movie?
Yeah.
Because movies now to me suck. It's all just Marvel bullshit. That's just.
Yeah, it depends. I haven't been like as excited about movies lately. Now I did watch The Black Phone recently, mm-hmm. which I really enjoyed. And I still get a kick out of like a really good horror film. But other than that, I haven't been incredibly titillated by movies.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think overall, I just kind of have I have not like a love-hate relationship, but more just a non-under, like a frustration with a lot of movies nowadays.
Can we also talk about how episodes are becoming too long?
Yeah.
Like I watched the newest season of Stranger Things, and each of them was like an hour and a half long, and I'm like, that is a film.
That's a movie. Like those
season finale was 2 hours long.
Yeah. Or to me, it was always. I hated when they said a very special 2-hour preview or season premiere or anything event, when they said that, and it's just 2 episodes back to back. And you're like, oh, you just showed us 2 episodes.
Yeah, basically.
That's not a 2-hour premiere. You just showed us 2 episodes of the show, asshole. So like when they book the spectacle and they say this is going to be like a movie, it's just 2 episodes of a show. And when you actually want, because that's another thing is, in those 2 episodes of Stranger Things, I think Stranger Things is very good. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's a very good show.
Yeah.
Movie or whatever it is now. I don't even know anymore.
It's just
Because you're right. Like there's like an hour episode. And by the way, that lady being stranded show,
Mhm.
those episode lengths were like 30 some odd 30 odd minutes or something like that.
Mhm.
And it felt like 2-hour episodes. And I couldn't,
Because they were just
they're
boring.
just
Yeah.
dragging on about this
Yeah.
lady in a hole. I don't care. Sorry. I just
Like, is there gonna be something in the hole? Will
it
something
just
come out of
just
the
her
hole?
feelings, Shannon. Just her inner demons. And
we can keep that in the hole.
Fucking rock.
That's
Yeah, and it
fine.
literally stays in the hole.
Let's
Spoiler
keep it in
alert.
the hole. It's
But
good.
I feel like, and then like 3 episodes in, I'm like, I can't believe I'm still watching this, because why would we even be telling the story if she didn't live? Obviously,
No,
she lives.
Yeah. Well,
You
that's what
idiot.
I had a problem with.
Ah.
So I love classic slasher films.
Okay.
So when the new Halloween movies came out, I was really fucking stoked. Because Jamie Lee Curtis is
Scream Queen.
the Scream Queen. Yeah, like Final Girl Supreme.
Yeah.
So
Great digestive health too.
yes, very very regular.
Poops like a champ.
Yeah,
I hear.
that's what they tell me.
She brags enough about it on TV.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, so she sidebar. Between you and me.
Yeah. So did you like the remake?
So I liked the first remake that came out, but the second one, the Halloween Kills or whatever it is.
Yeah. Evil Dies Tonight.
But that was the thing. We had all been told that it was going to be a trilogy.
Evil Dies Tonight, though.
No. We knew it was going to be a trilogy walking into the second film. All the characters were like, it ends tonight. And I was like, no, it doesn't.
No,
There's a third movie coming out.
Yeah, we already know. It's greenlit by Fox.
Like, I was so pissed. I was very angry walking out of that movie theater. I was like, nothing in that film felt like it needed to have been done.
Like, you're just setting up like, that's why I got really frustrated with a lot of the Marvel movies, because it was just like you're setting up another movie, or you're talking about another movie that I didn't see that I have to see if I want to see this one. It's really gross. It seems like a pyramid
now it's
scheme.
becoming to the point where you have to see the shows too.
Yeah.
Like in the new Doctor Strange, you have to have seen WandaVision.
So you were talking about that's true.
Yeah.
You were talking about even it being like it being ruined like by like that part. Like, did you like the movie except for that part?
If I had walked in not knowing that there was going to be another film, possibly.
Because there was a scene. I was a big when I was younger, and I think this is my argument with zombie movies.
Mm-hmm.
I say zombie movies are more sci-fi than horror.
That's also a hot take.
But,
interesting.
But it's more.
It could depend, I suppose, because a lot of the new zombie films, like Resident Evil,
because it's like a societal issue,
right?
It
or
happens
even
all over.
like it's a virus or something.
Yeah.
Like I don't really see that as fantasy or horror in the traditional sense.
Like,
now, like Night of the Living Dead, that's for me that doesn't count as sci-fi because it's more like vampire-y or werewolves.
Well, Night of the Living Dead is actually probably if I may, the most. Because that actually starts with a satellite falling from space.
I didn't remember that. Huh.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I've got the tattoos. But I was always huge into zombie movies. Dawn of the Dead was the original, was like the one that was my entry level to like, I've been to that mall. I love George A. Romero. There's plenty of flaws in his movies. So that was my thing where I was waiting when I was younger, they started to remake a bunch of movies and they're starting to do this. And I'm like, oh, here it comes. And they're like, and I was in the theater and I saw, it was a scene where I was like, no way. And it was like the preview for the remake of Dawn of the Dead. And I couldn't believe it. And the preview looks fucking cool. All the hype for it looks cool. I go to the theater and I love the movie. It's a great movie. And I still argue it is a classic. Great. It is a true homage to the original Night of the Living Dead. Like a lot of that, like, because there's a lot of zombie movies as people arguing about what they should do or what should happen. You know what I mean? Like,
no, that's true. Yeah.
It's like that's like where, because they're just like it. The problem
and there's always
is
someone
here.
that's pretending like they haven't been exposed.
Yeah. It's always that. There's always that drama of somebody like the dickhead that you like. Is he gonna have the heart of gold, or is he gonna end up fucking him over?
Yeah.
And then the person you want to die that finally, all that fun stuff. That movie was, to me, perfect, except for there is one particular scene. Have you seen it?
No, I don't think so.
There's a scene in the movie where and they even have like they're even some of like the faster zombies. Like I don't mind that they're doing the running zombies. That's fine. I'm not a huge fan of the running zombies, but whatever. Um, they're chasing. They have to go down to the basement because they have to reset the power or do a thing or whatever, and they have to all. And they're all running back up. They're like, hey, when we come back up, open this door and we'll come back in and we'll be safe or whatever.
Sure.
They're running up. They get up to the door and the zombies are like right on their tail. They're not that far behind them and they're chasing up this stairwell. They're going up, and they get up to the door. Open the door, the door opens and they turn around to close it. And the zombies come up to the bottom of these stairs and they stop. And they go, and I'm like, so yeah, the mindless killing machines would be running full force after you the whole time.
And then just to be like,
now we gotcha. And then like one jumps over. It's like this total cheeseball dickhead Hollywood thing. And they were doing so well up into that. It's not perfect, but it's like that scene was like immediately I was like, like,
Pat,
what
I
are
have
you
to tell
doing?
you, with like that voice you were doing just now, it reminds me of like old Halloween radio shows I used to listen to. Like,
Are you glad you're wearing the headphones?
Yeah, no, I was just like, oh wow, that was a throwback. Like that was
good.
pretty cool. You should try that out. Like you should try telling it like Vincent Price era kind of.
Oh, like do the
yeah.
I was a big fan of voiceover. I wanted to be most of all when I was youngest Joey from Full House. I wanted to do stand-up comedy. I wanted to do voiceover for cartoons. I wanted to do I didn't really want to do kid shows, but that's I was a kid at the time. It was kind of like, I would like to be me, I guess.
I do have to tell you one of the greatest compliments I've ever received, because so my friends and I, there's this new trend that people are doing where like they have PowerPoint parties.
Oh,
where everybody makes
sounds awful.
No, it's amazing because you just make the most random PowerPoint and like present it to your friends. And
like funny. Okay.
Yeah.
Not like
so
actual...
I did one about like cryptids and like.
I would love for you to present it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I also did one. I ranked all of our vice presidents, or no, I did a hot ranking of secretaries of state.
Okay.
Like the hottest, like ranking of the hottest secretaries of state, like the top 10.
I know Hillary Clinton was.
She was on the list, of like hottest secretaries of state.
I think because like how many women are there?
There's a pretty good number of women. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think she was the last one I'm familiar with. I don't know any other secretary.
But anyway,
yep.
So one of my friends did a PowerPoint about like in what order our friend group would die in a horror film.
Okay.
And I was the final girl.
Oh yeah.
I was like, wow, that's a really good compliment. Like, thank you. You think I'd survive in a horror film?
One of my favorite compliments that I've ever gotten was somebody told me once they would much rather me beat them up with my fist than say something mean about them.
Oh,
I was like,
well, that makes sense.
That's like, I was like, wow, that made me feel like, oh, it's like so like a quick wit and just like a biting personality.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. I like
how long do you think you would survive in a horror film?
I think honestly, because I am a person that in a day-to-day scenario, any scenario I'm in, I always think of like the worst case scenario.
Okay.
I like almost to a maddening effect, like to where I'm thinking if there's I actually looked over there because I thought maybe there was fire. I was like, I have a couple candles lit downstairs. I was like, so how could I push Shannon down and get out of here? But I think about that like in a lot of scenarios.
Okay, yeah.
So actually I had because I was such a zombie fan and I had like another one I came close to finishing was World War Z. I finished that one with audiobooks because I really did enjoy it. And actually World War Z is way better on audiobook.
Well, and
the audiobook is better than the movie.
Well, and sometimes the audiobook is just better than reading it.
I will say that.
Yeah.
I will say the audiobook is better than the movie World War Z.
Okay.
Because it still has there's
the suspense.
I've seen the
movie.
The book itself, the voiceover actors that they have for the characters, because it is a boring-ish war-in report about the zombie war.
Oh, okay.
So it is an account of like a person went around and interviewed generals and they talk about battles that happened.
So that does sound like it would
be. It
be
is so much better than the movie.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt just going, oh, I gotta save my fucking daughter. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have the voice actors they have for this, right? You're gonna fucking shit your pants. Hold on to your seat because you're gonna slide out of it. Mark Hamill,
Wow.
Henry Rollins, Alan Alda,
Oh,
uh,
I love Alan Alda.
that German guy that you know who he is, but like I can't think of like. Have you ever seen Beer Fest?
No.
Fuck, that's the only movie I think I know him from. He's in it.
Thank you. That really gives me a very solid clear,
some other
clear
people.
picture.
But each person is a huge character. Like they're voice
Yeah.
actors. They put everything into it.
Well, and I'm loving that too, because like on Audible, there's a lot of original voice cast books that are just really doing justice to themselves. Like I right now I'm reading The Sandman, which is actually a graphic novel, but I'm listening to it on audiobook, and they've got like James McAvoy and Taron Egerton and Kat Dennings.
Oh
And
damn!
like, yeah,
I don't know
like
if I would like love her voice. Like,
she does.
no offense. Like I don't mean that. I didn't mean that to sound as
Yeah.
crude as it was. I mean like her voice is not necessary. It's very recognizable, but like
Yeah.
I think of her as a charming actress, sure, but not.
Mhm.
I wouldn't think of a voice strictly.
Her part in it isn't super long, but she plays Death, and it was I really liked it. I really
Okay.
liked her in that.
Sorry, I missed a lot of names. So it is a 5-hour or almost 6-hour book. Totally worth it,
That's
right?
really short, actually, in
Is
terms
it
of
really?
audiobooks. Yeah, right. The Sandman I'm listening to is 11 hours.
Okay, so some that I recognize right off the Paul Sorvino, Carl Reiner. You know who that is?
No.
Damn it. You know who it is.
I don't know. I'm
Martin
not looking at-
Scorsese?
Well, I know
Heard
who
of
that
him?
is. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Henry Rollins, Maz Jobrani, Mark Hamill. I already said those, didn't I?
Yeah, you
Cal
did.
Penn,
Okay. Yeah.
Alan Alda, Rob Reiner is again there. Wait, hold on.
No, you said Carl Reiner.
Oh, and also Rob Reiner. Do you know who that is?
I know who Rob Reiner is. Yeah.
So Carl Reiner is in the Ocean's movies, Ocean's 11.
You know what? I haven't seen those films, and they're on my
Fuck.
list. I know. I need to. It's really weird because I've seen a lot of movies, but there are some that like everyone has seen that I haven't seen, and then everybody's like, "Oh, you call yourself a movie buff," and I'm like, "Listen, I only have so many years to live."
So you know who the director. Fuck, what's his name? Brooks. Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks. Oh, I love Mel Brooks. Yeah.
Carl Reiner is his comedy partner,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah.
Rob Reiner is his son, who is in fact was Meathead on All in the Family.
Okay.
He's also director. He's also somebody you would definitely know, but maybe don't know by name.
Wait.
Max Brooks is Mel Brooks' son. Max Brooks is the author of World War Z, the Zombie Survival Guide, as well as.
I did read the Zombie Survival Guide.
So that's how he's able. I think how he's able to get this this cast. And
Yeah.
there's Alfred Molina, John Turturro. John Turturro's part is fucking awesome.
Oh,
Like
cool.
I'm probably gonna listen to this again because this is fucking. It's so much better. Like that's the only time I would ever say if I could read with those people's voices in my head, I would absolutely say in that case, yes, the book is better than the movie.
Yeah.
But that was another one that I was like, I can't imagine like putting that much effort into a production or something like that. It was almost like a radio play.
Right. And that's what I'm enjoying a lot about a lot of the audiobooks that I've run into recently is that they sound more like a radio play than an audiobook.
Yeah.
And it's nice because it kind of feels like watching a movie without watching a movie. And it's helpful when I drive because if I tried to watch a movie and drive, a lot of people would die.
If I could read coherently, like I would at least attempt it, or I would just record them and just send them to people and be like, hey, what do you think? Did I do a good job? Can you put this out? I'm just gonna read a book and record it. But I was always interested in doing voiceovers and like cartoon stuff. I was really interested in like that kind of stuff as a youngin. You know what I mean? Do you need any more water or anything? You need a break or okay? I just wanted to make sure. We only got like a little bit left, probably like another 15 or so minutes. So, but I just wanted to ask you. You did the most recent roast battle.
Yes.
I thought you did an awesome job.
Thank you.
Is there anything in like comedy that you would like achieve that you think would be like you see in that is capable, but like is something that you're striving for? Like what is the pinnacle to you in like wanting to be a stand-up comic?
Yeah. That's a good question. Um, I mean, it's really funny because I got into comedy initially because I was going to go to law school and I was doing it as a way to practice my public speaking, and they have a very similar
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know
feel.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I thought to myself, well, in both situations, you have to be able to tell a story.
Yep.
You have to be able to get people's buy-in, and
You have to get people's attention, keep people's attention, and also
Yep.
be likable at the same time.
right, get them on your side.
Yeah.
Almost. So that's why I started doing comedy, and it just kind of I just ended up really enjoying it. And I've always enjoyed watching stand up, and so for me, kind of anything from here is
It's
you
all
know,
like you're just playing with house money at this point.
yeah, pretty much.
Like you've technically you've accomplished what you wanted. You wanted to
Right.
do it to become a better, more comfortable public speaker. And that's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
from what I've even noticed of you, like you don't have, and I don't mean this to sound condescending or anything like that,
Mhm.
just from what I've observed, like I've noticed like being less shy, like the roast battle, like
Yeah.
the fact that you go, to me, that's the thing where like you're already, okay, somebody's going to point out a thing that maybe I'm not comfortable with, or maybe they, you don't know necessarily
Yeah.
what they're going to go for, but you do know it's a possible humiliation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the fact that for somebody to say like, all right, I'm going to go do this, because that was something that I avoided for the longest time.
Mhm.
I didn't want to do it at all because I didn't think I would be good at it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that was
It almost turned into an exercise. Like,
right. Well, the thing about the roast battle was my whole goal was to get past the first round.
yeah.
That was all I wanted, was to just flex the muscle, see if I could do it. So I was really surprised when I made it to the final round.
It
But
happens.
I mean, no, and I really felt kind of in my element. I mean, really, when I drink, I get a little bit more mean. So
okay, yeah.
so at this point, I was just like
Plus, you're
not holding
comfortable
back.
there. You
Yeah.
you perform there a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, now that I've gotten to, you know, I've gotten past open mics, which is nice. I've been asked to do shows and things like that. So I'll do a quick plug. We've got Comedy Under the Stars coming up this month
Nice.
on August 27th. Gary Limoges is putting that together.
Hell yeah.
Gonna be a lot of
love
really great
me some
comics.
Limoges.
Yeah. Shout out to Gary.
August 27th. That's
That's at J&P Winery in Grantville.
hell yeah. Nice.
Yeah,
I was
so
just
check
about to
that
look it up.
Yeah. I know I don't want to start naming names because I don't remember who all's on it.
Yeah,
but
no, that's fine.
But some really great comics.
But if you follow Shannon,
yeah, I'll post about it.
Oh,
Yeah. So follow me.
what is it again?
Fields Research on Instagram.
What's that about? Just real quick. We'll go back to that. I apologize.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
That is one thing. That is one question I definitely wanted to ask. What is Fields
Research?
Fields Research.
I
can't say words. I'm a fucking idiot.
Well, so my initial Instagram handle was Rainbow Suspenders was my Twitter handle for the longest time, because when I was in high school, I would wear rainbow suspenders to school because I wanted to be weird.
Right.
And then my Instagram handle was Rainbow Colored World, but with the A and the I taken out, and it was just too much to say to somebody
like market with.
yeah. So
I guess you're not really marketing as a kid, but like to say like afterwards you're gonna have to change it to something, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's more people want to follow you, and it's like, oh yeah, so it's RN.
Yeah.
Like
RN _. Anytime there's an underscore, I'm like, uh-oh. Like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna
So
find
I wanted something that was a little more like memorable. But also I thought kind of like field research was kind of a fun little thing to play off of. So Fields Research.
I just didn't know what it was. Wasn't sure if it was a pun. Okay, so it's a
is
pun.
A little bit
field.
of a pun.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
It's a nerdy pun. That's your demo.
Yeah. So that's basically it. Yeah. But I mean, and it's just kind of, and I'm still trying to kind of find my little hook. Like, I think my TikTok handle right now is the Daddy Quack.
The daddy. Oh wait. So wait. I think I thought that was your dad's account.
No, that's me. That's Daddy Quack.
I honestly. So again, shout out to Brian. I thought Brian was that cool of a dad that he had his own TikTok account.
He does have his own TikTok, and he has more followers than I do, which is fucking stupid.
That's awesome.
He does a lot of.
Can you ask him to promote the show on his TikTok?
Yeah.
For us? Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been doing a lot of. So he learned how to play the guitar recently. he's going through a lot of midlife crisis stuff, which
Got
is
it.
pretty cool. But now
Understandable.
he's got like, and he makes more money than he should. So he's got like 8 guitars now.
And a grown kid, so he has no like this all
Right. He has
disposable.
no one to. So
Yep.
that was how I got a Nintendo Switch one Christmas, because he broke up with his ex-girlfriend, and that she was polyamorous. And so like she had a husband and like kids, and her husband had a girlfriend, and like it was a lot of people to
My
buy.
day, we called that cheating. Okay.
But but he was like buying them all Christmas presents and stuff. So when they broke up the following Christmas, I was like, Dad, I've done the math. And if you were spending like $50 per person in that scenario, that is enough to buy me one Switch. Like, yeah, it's just basic like cost benefit analysis at this point.
Yeah.
So
it would be dumb not to.
right, exactly. I was like, I think this is the best use of your money at this point.
I would agree. Yeah.
And so it was a very compelling argument, and I got the Switch.
So we were talking about your Instagram right before that. I
Yeah.
apologize.
No, it's okay.
I veered off by saying what the hell is field research? But
yeah, but that's well, and it's pretty, I don't know, like I just say like, yeah, it's Fields research. Like
Yeah.
people can generally
it's a lot
spell
easier
and
to
find
say.
that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you'd be surprised.
Well, and so many people have spelled my name wrong. It's embarrassing for them.
I always double and triple check. I always make sure I write it right in the book, just so that way whenever I type it anywhere else afterwards, I know that
makes
for a
sense.
fact.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you being here on the show. I appreciate you doing like I said, I really enjoy watching you excel at comedy and and it's cool to know that like you're at least somebody who is like you want to challenge yourself in those scenarios. Like you said, like, okay, well, I've gotten to this part, and it's something that you've taken to and like gone to a point where you're like, all right, well, because that's the thing is if it's just like, all right, I just want to go to the open mic, or I just want to go work on some stuff, or I'm gonna just go say another joke, the same jokes over and over, or something like that. It's there's weird things that like everybody likes to have rules on a lot of the stuff, and I like the fact that you're kind of like, well, it's almost like how comedy has always been explained to me has always been like, it's like your independent contractors, and how I always thought that was supposed to be the benefit was you can do anything you want, you can make your own hours, you can do whatever, and if you wanted to work for them you could do what they ask, but for the most part you can just kind of do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So it's been really counterproductive in my opinion, and I've really gone through a lot of struggles. So it's really cool to hear that somebody is like, yeah, I just do it, have fun. You're not overthinking it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people in that competition for sure were overthinking their position, what are they going to do? And a lot of people took a loss really bad. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know if it was us or if it was.
Well, there was one person in particular that I mean,
there has been, and over time that's going to happen in general.
Yeah.
But like, it's cool to know that, like, again, might be the upbringing you had, or just like a overall general demeanor that's pretty level-headed. That's just cool to know that you're like, yeah, I've kind of already excelled at what I wanted to do in stand up. So now it's just
everything from here is pretty much cake, and like, it's something that I've definitely been able to put more time into now that I have more of a 9-to-5 job.
Have you ever tried submitting to like things like Reductress or like hard times or anything like that?
No, but it's something
I would highly
to.
suggest something like that to you, because you have I think the tools for it. Like, not, you know what I mean, like the
mindset,
the unencumbered interest in the subjects that would I think you that and the wit mixed with the wit and humor, that would be a way to say like, I think that would be a really cool next step for you. Not to like manage your
I mean, I'm super open to hello.
And look,
I'm so happy.
Carmela's here right for the end of the show.
Yeah, I'm super open to opportunities and any advice. I mean, Pat, just a shout out to you. We've known each other for like 3 years now. That's how long I've been doing comedy. And you and some of the other comics in the area have just been, so welcoming. And, I'm always open to you guys' feedback. And I know you only have like my best interests in mind. And you guys really want to see me succeed. And that means a lot to me.
Anytime, my wife, my wife says it all the time, where like, she always will bring up the fact that I think a lot of times it'll be, people think that honesty is like being rude or something like that,
Mhm.
or it's just being like, I'm just being honest. Like that's how, but I try to use it as a genuine, like constructive tool,
Yeah.
something that can actually help. Like, not that if I'm not saying anything to you, like you have no value, but like she's always saying, like, if I'm telling you something, I don't mean anything else by it. I wouldn't be talking to you if I didn't like you.
Right. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that if I don't talk to you, I don't like you. That just means that, like, if I'm talking to you, even if it sounds like I'm saying something negative to you,
It's
I
never like
promise you I'm
malicious
not.
intent.
I
Yeah.
promise you it's not, because
Nice.
I wouldn't go up to you to say a negative thing to you.
Right.
I
Just for
would
the
never
fuck
ever
of
do
it.
that. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like that's never been my thing. And it's not that I don't hate people. I love kitty cats. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
See, we're very friendly people
We're very
here.
friendly people, but it does make me feel good that you at least have that feeling of, because it's been a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag sometimes
Yeah.
in the
The scene.
small scene that
Yeah.
is actually here, because for the longest time it wasn't a scene. It wasn't people working together. It wasn't people actually, or it was, or maybe it just wasn't. It was groups of people working together, and it's kind
Yeah.
of like that even still.
Yeah, a little clicky, but I
It's
mean,
still gonna,
that's what's going to happen when you get a bunch of people with similar interests
as
together.
long as there aren't beefs. That's
Yeah.
all. That's
Yeah.
like, as we don't. There's no need for that, because
No.
there are different tastes in comedy.
Right.
So there are going to be different groups for different types of comics. So
Yeah.
clicks aren't the worst thing, but it's when it's like, oh,
When it's malicious.
you're going to get a thing that I should get, or I should get a thing that you're getting, or
Mhm.
whatever it may be.
Yeah, it's like
It's,
just be
yeah,
happy for each other and whatever we accomplish.
I don't care. That's
Yeah.
like Eddie Daniels. Shout out to Eddie
Eddie
Daniels.
Daniels.
His
I heard he
birthday,
had such a great show. I
sold
wasn't
out
able
the
to make
Comedy
it.
Zone. It was him, Aaliyah, uh, uh, Ratchet Five. What's,
Yeah,
God damn it,
Matt Moyer.
Matt Moyer.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I always know Channel 5 Ratchet News. Shout out
Yeah.
Channel 5. Aaliyah Wright, Eddie Daniels, and I
Yeah, I
believe
heard
somebody
it.
from Pittsburgh. I think they had come out. But they sold out the Comedy Zone for Eddie's birthday. Shout out to Eddie for having a birthday, for being an awesome
Being
headliner
alive
at the,
and
yeah,
existing.
and all of those guys. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's the thing
That's
of,
what we want to see, and that's what, we want to be able to be like, wow, look at you doing
that was
awesome
awesome.
things. Yeah.
Great. You know what I mean? Because if if it can't succeed, if it can't succeed with people, like, actually, we already know it doesn't succeed if people are working against each other. It's just, that's just how it happens. But if you can get it to succeed, you're going to do it with people actually giving a shit. Like the same thing with the roast battle.
Right.
Like, if you're, okay, like,
Yeah.
let's help each other out. Have a good time. Try to wear something a little ridiculous. Give them a little something. Give your
Yeah.
friends something to make fun of you for.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you so much for
Thanks for having
your
me on.
time. Thank you guys for watching Pounding
Thank
Off
you.
Online. Thanks for Casey and Hal and anybody else that checked out the show today. This one will probably be out on audio only next Monday, not
Okay.
tomorrow, but next Monday. But in the meantime, you can check out the video here on YouTube. Check out some of the other stuff. Drag the Lake with Andy. That's another show. We got a new episode coming out this Monday. Some other ones, some more list episodes on Spotify. Falls Count Anywhere, Proper Ebonics. Check out Trauma Hood and 6 a.m. podcast. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
We love
You're
you.
busy dude.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Hey.